ready for UFC on ESPN Plus. Fortaleza. Great card. Great card. Leading in with some Leonard Skinner. We've got great fights, 13 fights here. Doing a Mike's MMA Picks fight morning breakdown. We'll do this fairly quickly. My goal is to get this through within 20 minutes. Already have an interruption here, so I apologize for that. But we'll kick things off with the first fight of the card. In the flyweight division, we've got Magomed Bibulatov, who comes in with a 14-1 record, priced at $9,400 on DraftKings. He's the cream of the crop, highest priced fighter. Came in with a lot of hype and got smoked out by John Moraga a couple of years ago, and we haven't seen him since. So I wonder what's been done behind the scenes. He may have just got caught in that fight, but he looked impressive before then. And he's going to be taking on a Brazilian in Rogério Bontorin, who can be had for plus 290 and $6,800 in DraftKings. We've seen the line close significantly here. Fight goes the distance, sits at minus 185 currently. So I'm expecting to see a lot of people punting with Rogério here. He's looked impressive on tape, but this is one of those times where folks can get burned by these fighters who are glorified can crushers. We've seen that throughout the years, especially in the women's fights. But this matchup here, Bibulatov, I mean, odds suggest that he should coast. But at 9,400, I expect low ownership because the middle of the road as far as price range goes, there are so many great options there and fights that should finish. So we'll get that fight out of the way here. Next up, we have a fight that a lot of people have had circled for a long time since it was announced. Ricardo Ramos against Said Nurmagomedov at 135 pounds. Both fighters priced relatively close. Ramos at 8,000, Nurmagomedov at 8,200. Said is coming up from 125 after the Scoggins fight. This fight also is expected to go the distance, so I expect Nurmagomedov to be criminally underowned. I expect this to be a close fight, though if it does end, I think Ramos is going to be the one to get the job done. At one point, Ramos' inside the distance line was plus 300. It's now since closed. Ramos sitting at a minus 143 favorite. One concern of mine watching tape on Ramos is that he comes out strong. He doesn't shy away from using his stand-up. He's got pretty strong stand-up, and on the ground, he's willing to take risks. We've seen many times that he can overextend himself and then get caught in positions where he doesn't want to be. Very closely lined fight. I expect high ownership on Ramos here. He may put up some big points, but there are other options on this card that I think people should be looking at as well. Next fight on the card, we've got two newcomers, Geraldo de Freitas against Felipe Corrales. I'll be honest, I didn't watch much tape on this matchup. So I'm going to be quick here. A couple of things that stood out to me. Freitas is the 135er, coming up to 145. Both guys very similar size, similar backgrounds, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, similar in age, 27, 24. Priced, we've got 8,400 for Freitas, 7,800 for Corrales. Tough fight to call, but this is one that's going to be flying under the radar. I think Freitas may pull this out. He just seems a little bit sharper from the tape I've watched. Corrales, it's hard. This is another fight. You got an 8-0 Brazilian who you don't know what you're going to get on the big stage. So maybe GPP plays for these guys. We'll see. I'm looking forward to see once contests lock and lineups lock. But we'll move on to the next matchup, which I suspect we'll see high ownership. In the Junior Albini against Jarinzo Rosenstreich. Junior Albini, 14-4 record, comes in, tips the scales, 265 pounds. I tweeted earlier in the week that at 13 years of age, he was 364 pounds and started picking up mixed martial arts to lose weight. We've seen this a number of times with fighters, but he definitely has not lost the baby fat. Fighting with a good team now at ATT. The thing that concerns me with him is his fight IQ. You don't know. He could be peppering his opponent like he did in his last fight against Olenek, and then just get suckered into going to the ground and being submitted. And I heard Albini actually talk about getting caught in the Ezekiel choke, and he didn't even. That was what, 2 or 3 seconds he was caught in it, and I know they're tight, but he had whole camp to prepare for that, and gave up fairly quickly. Clear path to victory here against Jairzinho, but I don't want to see him playing around with the stand-up. I like Albini here. The thing that concerns me also is Jairzinho. This guy is coming over with over 60 knockouts in his in kickboxing, and then also coming over to mixed martial arts. I did read that Jairzinho took a yellow card in his last fight. He was fined 20% of his purse. So that was due to greasing. Albini is going to, or he should take this fight to the ground. I know he does have a ground game, but he doesn't use it. Got to see him dispose of Timothy Johnson live in person, and he was, I believe, an underdog in that fight. So I'm looking forward to this fight. It should end inside the distance. We have -280 that the fight doesn't go the distance. Moving up through the card here, we have Thiago Alves against Max Griffin. I thought Thiago Alves was toast in his fight with Kuchenko headed into that fight, but he seemed to still have a will to win, competitive fight. He can stay sharp from a technical standpoint. Talking about Alves here, he's also known as the incredible shrinking man. Although he fights at the same weight class, he's a welterweight, but his body transformation has been very similar to Vitor Belfort and others. He's fighting Max Griffin, who is a physical specimen, someone who is a -192 favorite. Griffin has fought the likes of Zaleski dos Santos, Mike Perry. He's been in there with some heavy hitters, but he's not the most technical fighter in the world. Can put himself in some bad spots. Fight IQ is an issue from my perspective. My take on this is Max Griffin has more heart. He also has much more left in the tank than Alves does. I think Alves may break under pressure, but the thing that I'm also realizing is that Alves, this is a hometown fight for him. He's had months to prepare. He fights out of a great camp. We know that. So I'm not hating on folks getting on Thiago Alves at plus 170 and higher. But this fight is suspected or expected to go the distance. It sits at minus 165 to go the distance here. Next up, we have a striker versus grappler matchup at 125 pounds in the ladies' flyweight division. Let's see. That is not flyweight division. 125 pounds. Yes, it is. Here we go. So Barella, she is coming in at 7,600 from a DraftKings perspective. She's going to come in looking to grapple. Santos has great leg kicks. I've heard her being described as the female version of Edson Barbosa. Santos, 8,600. Fight goes the distance, sits at minus 175. Talia Santos comes in with the undefeated record, 15-0. Should be a relatively close fight. This fight should go the distance. I am going to stay away from this from a DraftKings perspective, but I'm expecting Santos to get the win. I think volume is going to be what puts her over the top. Great fight coming up next at the middleweight division. We've got Anthony Hernandez against Marcus Perez. Anthony Hernandez, odds have dropped significantly. Now he's a minus 145 favorite. You'd be paying up for him at 8,900 in DraftKings. This fight should end inside the distance, sitting at minus 170 right now. Hernandez, we know he's got some self-discipline issues. We won't get into that. He's fighting out of the same camp that Max Griffin is. So that's a good sign. I always like seeing that fighters on the same card coming out of the same camp. We know they've been working together if they're similar in weight class. Marcus Perez, bit of a wild man. Plus 135, 7,300. I expect very high ownership of Marcus Perez. Marcus Perez, what can you say? He has a lot of the intangibles. Doesn't give up on himself, has power, can get submissions, willing to take risks. But this risk-taking behavior inside of the cage, we saw against Sanchez and other fighters. He can be looking great, and then all of a sudden one slip up and he's on his back and he's stuck. So I actually think Perez is going to pull this off as an underdog. 10-2, fighting out of Brazil here. This is another thing. I think we're going to see a lot of the Brazilian fighters come through as we have in previous cards. Let's move to the next fight, 8th fight on the card. We've got Livia Renata Souza against Sarah Frota. Frota came in, we know, 7 pounds overweight. This is one of the reasons I like doing these breakdowns after weigh-ins. Frota has heavy hands. Looks like she's got a lot of pent-up aggression from just the way she carries herself and the interviews I've heard. Seems very raw. I wonder how this extra weight is going to help her. Souza, I have a feeling that ownership is dropped from a DraftKings perspective, 9,100. There are a lot of other options that I think folks are going to be gravitating towards. But Souza is she's like a little Tasmanian devil. She doesn't stop. And I know Frota's a black belt, but I think we're going to see Souza having her way with Frota here, closing the distance, finding takedowns, transitioning. This fight is expected to go the distance, -170. It is on the main card. I think we'll see a bump in Frota ownership. We know she got that knockout on the Contender Series. We don't typically see women at this weight class at 115 pounds getting finishes, but I expect this one. I actually think Souza is going to submit Frota here late in the fight. We'll see. Next up, this is a fight that I've had circled for a while here. We've got Justin Ledet against Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, hype train exploded after his last fight. But I caution folks here, the tape is a bit disturbing. Johnny Walker, 9,200, looks the part. Physical specimen. Also, I see the UFC has really been pushing this guy big time from social media standpoint. He's taking on Justin Ledet, who is a tough guy, boxer, coming off of a brutal beatdown at the hands of Rachik. This fight, I think that I think it's going to be a lot closer than people expect. I don't think Ledet is just going to let himself get teed off on here. I expect him to be the counter striker, and fight doesn't go the distance. Odds sit at -155. I think Ledet may be a good play in GPPs. If Walker does get it done, I think he's going to have to finish Ledet, which is pretty tough. I mean, we saw that he doesn't give up on himself. I wonder if Walker is ready to take this fight to the ground, because we know that that's where Ledet struggles. And another thing from the weigh-ins, man, Walker, I was really shocked at how much bigger he is than his opponents. I have no idea how that guy gets down to the light heavyweight limit, but I actually see Ledet getting an upset here. Looking forward to seeing this fight play out, though. Next up on the main card, we've got Charles Oliveira against David Timur. Great fight. Contrast of styles here. Charles Oliveira, I read that he's 14-0 in Brazil. And, man, this guy's a machine. I remember watching him. I was really worried for Frankie Edgar when they ended up fighting a number of years ago, and Frankie came through there. Timur, he's gonna have to get in and get out, and that's gonna be hard. I wonder if Oliveira is going to be chasing after him. Timur is such a technical striker that it's going to be tough for Oliveira to find Timur. Timur is really going to be on his horse. Timur 7,700. Oliveira comes in at 8,500. $8,500 bucks. What are you getting for that? You're getting somebody who can submit you. The thing that I caution folks about Charles Oliveira is he could get knocked out here, and also if he does get a submission, there may not be much more to his DraftKings log, because all he needs is a few seconds to wrap something up. So this fight is actually not expected to go the distance. It's at minus 195. Oliveira is creeping up to a little bit heavier favorite now. He's at minus 123. Oliveira's on a roll, but so is Tamor. So I went back and watched Tamor's fights. Looked great against Lentz. Drucker, close grappler, but doesn't have the have the submission game that Oliveira does, and he's also not as quick as Oliveira is. So this fight, I think we're gonna see. I think you want to be on one side or the other from a DraftKings perspective in this fight. I do expect Oliveira to come through with a submission at some point. I think that he's fighting like a man possessed lately, and he knows what he has to do, and the confidence is high. So we'll move on to the next fight, the 11th fight on the card. We've got Demian Maia taking on Lyman Good. Lyman Good right now plus 165 underdog. Lyman Good 7,500 on DraftKings. Lyman Good hasn't been finished in 24 professional fights. Demian Maia, man, 41 years old, warhorse. You're paying up to 8,700 if you're going after Demian Maia. If you believe in him, great. If you don't, I totally understand it. I tweeted something out earlier in the week that Demian Maia is 0 for 49 over his last 3 fights on attempted takedowns. I expect that Maia is going to try the similar approach. We know that those 3 fights were against top tier in the division. Maia may get cracked on the way in, and this fight may end early. Or Maia may land that takedown and finish the job pretty quickly. But Maia also has the ability to transition. And Lyman Good, I don't think it matters how good your get-up game is. When Maia's on top of you, he can get the job done here. So I actually expect Maia to win by submission. But there's no certainties in this game, as we know. If he doesn't get the submission, Lyman Good could end this fight early. And then I do expect high ownership of Demian Maia. I think that we're going to, if Maia doesn't get the job done, I would think Good ends up on the optimal lineup. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I got to see Lyman Good fight twice live in person. Last time was against Ben Saunders. I actually was very concerned for Ben Saunders in his last fight when he got knocked out. And then when he fought Dos Santos, he hung in there. If you go 3 rounds with Zaleski Dos Santos, that says a lot about your character and will to win. So not totally counting out Lyman Good here, but I'm expecting Demian Maia to win. Next up, we have great fight, co-main event of the evening, Jose Aldo against Renato Moicano, 145 pounds. Jose Aldo coming in at 7,900 plus 120 underdog against Moicano is a minus 130 favorite currently, $8,300 on DraftKings. We saw at the weigh-ins yesterday, the crowd is definitely behind Jose Aldo. Both looked phenomenal at weigh-ins. 3-round affair obviously helps Jose Aldo, who has said he's on the tail end of his career, although the next 3 fights he expects to win all of them. Really incredible that fighters are paid similarly if they're fighting a 3-round fight versus a 5-round fight. Those 2 extra rounds, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body. I've been burned counting out fighters who have a lot of time logged in the octagon. Last card it was Donald Cerrone. There have been others in the past. Aldo has a lot of time. He's had a lot of time to prepare for this fight. He is, man, he's such a powerful striker, so dynamic, so athletic. Moicano, very tall, I would think he'd be susceptible to the body, but his footwork is impressive. He gets in, gets out. I do like Moicano in this spot. The later the fight goes, I think we're going to see Moicano run away with this, but I'd be worried for Moicano early in the fight, especially the first round. Really looking forward to this one, though. From a DraftKings perspective, I think you're going to want to own one of these fighters. Aldo is not going to be staying on the outside, and Moicano is, he fought Stevens. He fought Jeremy Stevens, and I kind of got on his case because he was evading. I don't see him doing that against Aldo. I think these guys are going to engage, and I think someone's going to get finished. Although this fight it is expected to go to a decision, -160. But I expect this fight to finish, and I'm going to be rolling with Moicano here. Next up, we have Marlon Moraes against Rafael Assunção, the main event of the evening. Assunção, this guy is Mr. Consistency. He may be the best value on the slate at 7,400. You're potentially getting 5 rounds out of him. -170 goes the distance. Marlon Moraes odds have closed significantly on him. He right now, I believe he's -155. You're paying up 8,800 for him. Risky play here if you're on Moraes. But we know if he does win this fight, it's probably going to be inside the distance, and he would potentially put up a significant number of DraftKings points if that happens. Assunção, so defensively sound, very cerebral in there. Also built like a brick shithouse. His has a Neanderthal type look to him, and just his body structure lends itself to durability. I think that Assunção here could roll. I think this is lined correctly right now. What has Moraes done since the first fight to address and close the gap here? I know it was a split decision in favor of Assunção last time out, and I actually had Assunção winning that fight. But Moraes is going to have to be more accurate. He's going to have to be busier. And I'm interested to see what happens when this fight hits the ground, when and if this fight hits the ground. So in cash games, I expect a lot of Rafael Assunção. I like Marlon's camp here. I'm a little concerned about Assunção, his potentially his movement. I know we haven't seen it drop off, but at 36 years of age, at that weight class, 135 pounds, later the fight goes, Assunção, a lot of people think that his conditioning is going to reign supreme. I think Marlon Moraes is going to take this fight. We'll see, though. We'll see. That's the thing about DraftKings. It's one of these games where there are no certainties here. So take a look at how you think things are going to play out, and if you're a single entry guy, take a stand. If not, think about the paths to victory and the possible outcomes. A couple of things before I sign off here. We have the MMA Ironman contest, which will be a year-long league starting up on February 9th. I joined that and looking forward to seeing all the other folks, all the active players in the DFS community get on board there. Another thing, this is the second event for the MMA World Cup. Great format. I know, props to Brett for putting that together. Looking forward to getting my lineup into that as well. And also, as far as DraftKings go, there's a throwdown before the showdown. $25,000 to first place, $15 entry. Expect a lot of people to be shooting for the stars there. You can follow me at MikesMMAPicks on Twitter. I'm also at betmma.tips as well as Capertech. Signing off here, UFC Fortaleza. Everybody have a great day, and hope you win your contests.